Welcome to the Women Leaders Association Daily Member Podcast, where we believe we go further, faster, and have more fun when we go together. I'm your host, Julianne Kirkland. And in each Daily Member Podcast, we will pick out a great speaker from one of our meetings that we thought you would enjoy. You can access hundreds of recent speakers, book summaries, great articles, and more at no additional charge through your membership portal. If you would like to get involved in a Women Leaders Association mastermind group or find a networking group near you, or if you just need access to the membership portal, simply go to womenleaderspodcast.com to be connected. Now let's tune in for this incredible message.
So, hi everyone. My name is Jen Rodgers. I am the Agile Transformation Lead for Corporate Engineering at BNY Mellon. Corporate engineering includes the technology support for all of the corporate functions at BNY Mellon, which includes human resources, finance, risk, legal. So all of those top of the house corporation that companies have there. So as part of my job as Agile Transformation Lead, I am really looking at getting the engineering group or the technology group to move towards an Agile way of working. And for those of you that maybe don't know about Agile, or this is the first time you've heard it, or maybe you've heard of it, but you don't really know what it is, it's a framework for people to use to actually take the way that they work and fit it into it. It's breaking down requirements into very, very small chunks, and then actually working within a 2-week sprint is what it's called. And so my journey into that is I've been doing technology project management for many, many years and kind of got into an Agile way of working and really found that it has opened my eyes to a better way of working. So a lot of the times, especially within, large institutions like BNY Mellon, there's a lot of command and control and focus on delivery, where Agile brings us more around the values of a good culture, respect, openness, transparency. And that's what I really like about the Agile way of working. So my day in and day out is really getting people to understand what Agile is, how they apply it to the work that they have today, and then really showing up differently within their own jobs. So another part of my background too, to just introduce myself, is I do a lot of work with women and empowering women. And at BNY Mellon, we have an employee resource group called Women in Engineering. And I was one of the somewhat founding members to really stand up what it was called Women in Technology at the time globally. So it went from being a group of small group of women trying to make it just kind of stand up to now it's a global organization within BNY Mellon who really support women advancing their growth and career on a day-to-day basis. So I'm really proud of that effort. And what I'm going to talk to you about today really is around, both those things, right? I kind of feel as though the way that I help stand up women in technology, I've really brought that into the way that I'm getting people to understand and change to an Agile way of working, and dealing with those resistance and really getting the team to accept and invest in the change. Like, why would we want to do this, right? You all, I think, probably along the way, and I saw a question earlier about those resistors. How do we get them to come along with us in this journey? So that's what I'm here to talk to you about today. So one thing also about me is I am a team person. I have always been part of a team. I played soccer in my younger years, and being part of a team, just like I thrive in that environment. I love it. And be able to really change a team or a large group of people, it takes patience, it takes time, it's a journey, and it takes all of us as team members to actually make it happen, to make it work, and to move it forward. So today, what we're going to talk about is the steps to do that. If I can get this to move, let me make sure. Okay. So steps to influence change, right? So I'm going to go through kind of these bigger steps of a North Star, like speak to why we're making the change. The sparks. I know earlier today, Shannon talked about the heart. So this is very similar. Like find those change agents in your team. They're going to help you kind of spread the goodness across your larger organization. And then those resistors, we're going to meet those resistors where they are and really start to understand like what's going on there. And then really influencing the change is making that change one step at a time. And along the way, really shining the light on those success stories and those great examples is where we're going to get into and how you can help influence change from where you are. Like this isn't even just from a management perspective. So part of my job as agile transformation lead is I'm a coach. So I don't have direct reports. I am influencing people at the team level, at the management level, at the senior management level, at the executive level, business stakeholders, everyone that really kind of supports that team structure, I'm influencing, as well as getting the sparks within to influence as well. So when I talk through these things today, it doesn't matter where you are sitting. What matters is that, you lead from where you are. You come up, you show up authentic, and then you take some of these steps with you. So the first one is the North Star, right? Really talking about like what is that North Star, that why we're making this change? Like, why is it important to the people at the team level, at the management level, senior management level, and above? Like, really, like, so what? Who cares? Like, why would I care about making this change? Why should I be invested in it? And really talking to the greater goal and what the return on investment is. So really depending upon who it is that you're speaking to, you want to kind of make it relatable to them of why we would change in this way. So a great story that I have is, myself working as an agile coach and talking to some of our leadership team about why they would change and why they would really invest in this and get their teams to change as well is, I had a senior leader kind of talking to me about like, why would I do this? Why would I move to agile? So I really started to sell him, right? I started to sell the major points of why he would change and what benefit he's going to get and, all these grandiose ideas. And he looked at me and he goes, okay, Jen, like, I get it, but like, really, like, why? And I thought about it a little bit more. And at the end of the day, I said, you know what, bare bones with agile, what you committed to at the beginning of a sprint, which is 2 weeks long, what we want to be able to say is that the team at the end of the day could say, what I committed to, I got done. Here's what I got done. And he goes, oh, that's it. That's what makes sense to me. So really trying to find the why. Right? There's multiple reasons why you would make this change, but really finding the why of what resonates with people is the North Star, is the way that you want to kind of get them thinking about it in that way, right? Next is you want to find your sparks. So I myself am a spark, right? So I get agile. I understand it. I love it. I'm like, yes, let's do it. Like I kind of equate it to, what I've seen even on Instagram is like, heck yes, energy. Like, heck yes, I want to change. Heck yes, I want to be doing this improvement. Heck yes, I see the benefit in it. Like you want to find those people in the team to actually have that spark, because like a sparkler and like lighting candles on a birthday cake, once one spark is there, you can use it to light another spark and then another spark and then another spark. They inspire people. So those people, once you find them, you want to empower them, you want to invest in them, and you want to highlight them. Really dig into those people specifically, because you want to do attraction rather than promotion, right? So you want other people in your team and in your organization to go, I want what they have. Like, what are they doing over there? That looks like really interesting. I want to do that too. So a lot of what I do for agile coaching is I find those teams that have that spark and then have that thing that everybody else is going to want to get in on. It's contagious, right? Those sparks. Now let's talk about the resistors, right? Because that's really what this presentation is for. Because the sparks are almost somewhat easy to change. They're there, they're in, they're like, let's do it. So, but the resistors, they come in all shapes and sizes. I've been working with teams directly for, I'd say, 10 years at this point, really getting people to change into an agile way of working. And I've seen it within the team. I've seen it at the, management level. I've seen it at senior management level. I've also seen it within business stakeholders. And with resistors, and especially as an agile coach, because, I come in unbiased, I really have a different perspective than maybe somebody who sits on the team. But I give this advice to really anybody who's meeting a resistor. Meet them where they are, like really understand where that resistance is coming from and validate their experience. People come with all different backgrounds and baggage and learning experiences and things that, are going to get them to go, yeah, I don't know about this, or I don't trust this. And what you really want to do is listen to what they have to say and really see them as challengers, not as someone who is persecuting you or trying to completely stop the change that you're trying to put into place, but really see them as someone as they're challenging you. Like, it goes back to that why. So what? Who cares? Like, why would I do this? Once you start to really understand and view them as a challenge more so than a persecutor or a problem, then you're going to start uncovering what's really going on, right? Is there a knowledge gap that maybe they have? So in my experience with agile way of working, a lot of the times it's a knowledge gap. They've gone to a training, they kind of understand it, but like they don't really know how to apply it yet. So then I help them bridge that gap, and then they're off and running and they're moving forward. There could be where they're fearful. They don't know exactly, hey, what this change is going to bring. And they don't know if their job's going to be there once this change happens. What's going to happen after, right? Long-term, what's that going to look like? And with the fear piece is really helping them talk through it sometimes, and understanding like the why, going back to the why really does help. Right? Because it uncovers some of those fears. And let's play out the fear. Let's play out like, hey, maybe because of this change, you lose your job. Then what? Then the next thing is, right? Or they're problem oriented. And when I say problem oriented, one of the books that I've read in the past is called The Power of TED, the Empowerment Dynamic. And they talk about like the dreaded drama triangle. And you are either a victim, a persecutor, or a savior. And what you want to, that's in a problem-oriented state. So you're really looking at like, I'm a victim of this person who is resisting this change, and why would they do this? And really getting even yourself to think about it differently. Like I had mentioned before, is think about them as a challenger rather than a persecutor. And what might be is that person has that mindset as well. They're a victim. They're a victim of this change and they don't want to do it. And this is ridiculous, right? So those are some reasons why there's resistance going on, but you want to uncover it. Because once you uncover it and you find out like why it is that they're doing these things, you can then take action on it. And there are, the 3 A's, which is you acknowledge that there's resistance, you accept the resistance, and then you act on it. Acting on that resistance can look like challenging them back. And I think Shannon may have mentioned it, or someone else in one of the panels may have mentioned it earlier, where, as a manager, you sit back and you just pause, listen to them, and then you start asking them questions, of why they're thinking of things in this way. And you can do some coaching as a manager, or point them back to the why we're changing, right? Like there is change happening at an enterprise level, at a company level, at an organization level, or even within your management structure. You're a new manager coming in. This is the change that you want to make. This is the culture you want to, cultivate. So here's the change that's happening. This is why we're doing it, and get them to understand that. You can introduce them to some sparks that have made this change before. You can give them some, introduce them networking wise that like, someone else had this same, problem with the change or really gap in understanding as well. You should talk to them about it. I think it would be a good way for you to communicate and learn from experience. Or you can ask them to try to change for a short period of time. So one of the best things about Agile is that it's a 2-week sprint, 2 to 4 weeks, right? So a lot of the times what I do is I say, okay, let's try it for a sprint. Let's just try it for a sprint. It's 2 weeks. 2 weeks goes by like that. So if you can get them to say, hey, let's try it for 2 weeks. And if it doesn't work out, we'll go back to the way we've been doing things. Or I want to really hear your feedback. I'm very interested in what you think. Let's do the change, do it for 2 weeks, and then let's meet again. So there's ways to kind of diffuse the resistors or diffuse the situation with them, as well as getting them to just try it, getting into that scientific mindset of, hey, I have this theory. Here are the things that we want to test out. Let's test it, see if it worked or didn't work, and kind of go back. So those are really some things that I think about when I think about resistors, is really acknowledging that the resistance is there, accepting their resistance and validating that they have it and validating their experience, and then acting on the resistance specifically. Now, once you kind of get to where you at least get them to try it for 2 weeks, you want to take them one step at a time. And this is just the team in general, right? So for sustainable growth or sustainable change, you can't go in and actually say, okay, we're changing everything all at once and everything's different. It's overwhelming. It's overwhelming. Even for us as people, like I equate it to like working out or getting into shape, right? You can't just go from being on the couch all the time to I'm going to go do an Ironman. Like you just can't. Like there are baby steps to get yourself to build up to doing that Ironman. You can't just go out and do it. So focusing the team on one change at a time, one day at a time is so super helpful, because then it gets into the mindset of that, hey, we just want to do progress. We're not trying to do perfection. We really just want to see change. We don't have to have it perfect. We don't have to have it perfectly. Right? Now, one thing too is have some retrospectives. So in Agile, at the end of every 2 weeks, there's a retrospective. So we take a look back at the last 2 weeks and we say, what did we do well? What did we do well? Okay, what are some of the challenges that we still have on how we work together as a team? But as an Agile coach, I tell them, take one thing, one action item that you're going to put into place in the next 2 weeks to change. Not 20, just one. Because once we focus ourselves onto one, it's like a nice, like on your to-do list where you're like, yep, I got that one. That feels good to check that box. You feel that progress going forward and incrementally. It's a nice way to just keep yourself going and keep yourself moving towards the goal that you want to have. Okay. And in retrospectives, like one of the things, especially from a management way of thinking, is like validate that it's hard. Validate for your people that like, this is overwhelming. This is a big change, but guess what? You're doing great in these areas. We need to improve here, but you're doing great. Keep going. Like that, striving for that progress, not perfection mindset across the board is definitely going to help you move forward in terms of change. One thing too that we use in an Agile way of working is metrics. So empirical data is really taking a look backwards and seeing what kind of progress did we make. And you can kind of see with my little icon up at the top right here is that we a lot of the times get into this mode of, I have to do more, I have to do more. And this is the rumination that I think was mentioned earlier, where you ruminate over, I'm not doing enough. I'm not doing enough. I'm not doing good enough. I need to keep doing more. And then taking a step and looking at that empirical data backwards to say, look how far you've come, right? All of us can take a look at last year at this time and probably go, wow, there has been so much change. And I cannot believe that this is where I am today compared to where I was last year. And using metrics and key metrics. So in agile ways of working, there are metrics that we use, but there are other metrics that are out there that you can use specifically for, your work and what you're looking to track. But using those to incrementally show your team like how they've been progressing is so useful, because I think about it as like, in sports, you look at game tape, right? Like football players and soccer players and others, like you look at game tape, one, to see how you played and see what you can improve on. And two, you look at game tape of other teams so that you can start preparing for that next game. Or even actors. And I saw there was a suggestion in the chat of like, record yourself. See what you do, try to go backwards and check and see like what you can do differently and what you can do better. So using that empirical data to just measure yourself as well as the team to show that progress forward is going to be helpful, and it's going to help the resistors, right? Because if you get them to do 2 weeks and then you show them the improvement over the 2 weeks or the month or the quarter or the year, they're going to start being bought into, okay, this change is happening. This change is good. So lastly, the next is to shine light on your success stories. So, you want to highlight, one, I guarantee the light that you shine on success stories includes those sparks, right? Those people that were heck yes energy. I'm going to do it. I'm going to move us forward. But as you build momentum and you pull those resistors along or convert them over, you want to shine the light on them, right? Because again, it's attraction rather than promotion. You want others to look at these success stories and go, I want to be part of that. I want to do something similar in my area. Excuse me. And this can be through blog posts, panel discussions, speaking at largely attended meetings, some way to get the word out that what your team is doing is successful, giving rewards, and just, stopping for a moment and saying, what you did in that meeting was fantastic, or, this is exactly the way that we want to be working. Those are the ways that you can shine light on the success and shine light on the sparks and any type of deliverables that may have been successful because of the change. So to recap, you want to think about your North Star, why we're making that change. You want to find those sparks, those change agents that are actually going to, support the change that you're looking for. You want to meet your resistors where they are. You want to understand and validate what they're experiencing and why they're resisting, and then act on those things. And then you want to do the change one step at a time. And then as you're making those changes one step at a time, don't forget to shine the light on the great success and on the work that the teams are doing. Because without that, like you can't keep moving forward. There has to be some goodness in there.
Hey, my friend, if you enjoyed listening to this podcast, be sure to rate, review, and share your biggest takeaway. And if you're wanting more, you can access hundreds of recent speakers, book summaries, great articles, and more at no additional charge through your membership portal. You can also get involved in a Women Leaders Association mastermind group or a networking group near you. Or if you just need to access your membership portal, simply go to womenleaderspodcast.com to be connected. Because here at Women Leaders Association, we believe we go further, faster, and have more fun when we go together. That's all for today, my friends. Bye for now.